Eagles. Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Victory Monday edition of Birds 365. The Philadelphia Eagles close up the season 14-3, an impressive regular season record. Now preparing for the NFC playoffs, the wild card, where Eagles will host Green Bay in round number 1. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
I'm cold because my heater blew at the game yesterday. So, yeah, that's my world right now. Perfect time when it's snowing and cold, but
yeah, right.
I'll get through it. Hopefully,
it is cold right now, Johnny Mac, and we got a snowstorm coming in. So, get that sucker fixed hopefully as fast as possible, and hopefully Johnny Mac stays cool or warm enough to continue giving us the best content here on JAKIB Sports. John, the playoff picture's set. I have a feeling this is going to be one of the quickest turning of the pages in the history of turning of the pages when it comes to reaction of a game. But
my God, I think it should be turned. No reaction to the game.
It is. I just want to give it 20 minutes, though. I do want to just give you the chance to break down what you saw yesterday and anything stick out to you, anything that matters, anything you're thinking about that game before we turn that page and start to prep for Eagles versus Packers in the wild card playoff.
I mean, it was a nice opportunity for guys, get to play, and a bunch of guys made a bunch of big plays. Tanner McKee, obviously, people are fired up about him. I think you saw Jahan Dotson, his ability to get some separation if you actually involve him in the game plan. Dallas Goedert looking great is number one to me because he's going to be meaningful moving forward. Be able to get, Tanner got his first touchdown passes last week coming in for Kenny Pickett when he hurt the rib, aggravated the rib. This week, he got Anaya Smith and E.J. Jenkins their first touchdown, so that's pretty cool. And then Sidney Brown. Good to see Sidney Brown making plays. Coming off a very serious knee injury, obviously, working his way back, trying to get into the good graces of Vic Fangio. You can see his athleticism, though, when he makes plays. So,
right.
If he can harness that, who knows what that can be down the road, but all good. Can't say the same about the New York Giants. I don't, boy, woof.
That's a bad team, John.
Bad organization, bad team. I mean, in theory, they shouldn't have wanted to win the game. I don't know. At times it seemed like they were trying to win the game, and at times it seemed like they were tanking in the same game.
All right.
Weird what they're doing. But the backup bowl from the Eagles' perspective, I thought the guys did a pretty good job in, a real opportunity to get some reps that aren't scout team reps.
Yeah, no, they did. It was good performance by them. I thought Tanner McKee was pretty good, pretty impressive. A lot of people were excited about him, and I think you saw him do a decent job yesterday playing with all backups. So. That was good to see. But, John, just 14-3, man. 14 wins this team got this year. You go back to when we did our win-loss. You think about the season, the way it started. You come out, you drop a game to the Falcons, 22-21 on the drop from none other than Saquon Barkley. You lose an ugly game to the Buccaneers. They go into a bye week, and, Jalen Hurts is talking about the greatest bye week ever, and we're thinking, what the hell does that even mean? Then they rattle off 10 straight wins, the franchise record for a win streak, close it up with a big win over the Cowboys to clinch the NFC East last week. Impressive season for this team, man. I know it all changes now with the playoffs, and it's went now week to week and do or die, but impressive season for this football team.
Yeah, it ain't easy to win 14
No,
games. And it's become, I won't say somewhat regular, but 2 times in 3 years. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy to win that many games in this league. So I do think a lot of people don't appreciate that. And I know they won't appreciate if the Eagles don't keep it going this week against Green Bay. So more work to be done, but yeah, this team has been pretty good for a pretty long stretch of time. And, Jeopard Lurie's 300th win as the owner of this team, that should be mentioned as well, because he's at the core of it all, and how he builds this organization. Really good team, really good bunch of really good players. And they're one of the few teams in the conversation to be a real Super Bowl contender. I think one dropped out yesterday. The Eagles are certainly in a group that is probably shrinking. Maybe it was 5.
Who dropped out for you? The Sam Darnold-led Vikings?
Yeah. I mean, that was, Sam picked and I was kind of rooting for him because I said I thought he had a chance to be a good player. He's had a great year,
Yeah,
we
talked about the potential of this, though.
Yeah, I know people are going to overreact and say, "Oh, he stinks," for one bad game. But he stunk last night. I mean,
he did. Yep.
And he's the reason. I'm not saying, they had so many red zone trips. If you cash in on 2 or, God forbid, 3 of them, that's a real game.
Yeah.
And who knows what's going on. But he was just bad from day one. And, I was thinking about that. Perfect example of what I talk about with Jalen Hurts all the time. And Jalen Hurts relentlessly. Like, he can play poorly. I say this all the time. He can play poorly and poorly and poorly, and then all of a sudden make a couple plays in the fourth quarter and win you a game. And it's very rare. And I tell you all the time, Zander, I say, usually when a quarterback doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. And Darnold showed up. He's overthrowing guys. He's wild high. Didn't have it the whole night. It was, that's typically what happens to quarterbacks. So I thought it was a good example of some things. That's a very big strength of Jalen Hurts' game. But yeah, that's the worst time to have your worst game. And that's what happened to Sam Darnold. So now they go from, 15 wins, potentially number 1 seed, to a 5th seed that has to go on the road that probably could be a one and done coming off that confidence shaking performance. That was like when the 49ers beat up the Eagles last year. That's kind of what that reminded me of with Detroit. And Detroit, sorry guys, they're fucking good.
Oh, they're good. They're going to get their 30-plus points. They are. But you do see moments, and you just pointed them out. I mean, the Vikings, how many chances did they have in the red zone last night? If the Eagles can capitalize on some of those chances in a game versus the Lions, I like the Eagles in that game. But they are a good football team. There's no doubt about it, man. That offense is
Jameer
really
Gibbs is something else, man.
Yes, he is, man.
He is something else. In a losing effort, so was Andrew Van Ginkel. He's the only guy from the hit he put on Gibbs. I thought, he sent him to another dimension.
I thought that could kind of slow Gibbs down, but it only really got him going.
Well, that's what you see. That's what happened to Sam. They hit him and, we withered. Gibbs took the biggest hit you're ever going to take in the modern league, and he just got better and better and better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So the whole playoff picture is set, everybody. I will rattle off the games to you. So we're going to start Saturday. The playoffs will start on Saturday, and it'll be 2 AFC games on Saturday. So Saturday we'll have the Chargers at the Texans, Saturday 4:30. Then you'll have Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens, in what I think is probably the 2 worst games of the 6 games on WildCard weekend. So those will be your Saturday games. Sunday, it gets into some good games here. Sunday at 1 is the Broncos at the Bills. Broncos looked good yesterday, blew out the Carson Wentz-led Chiefs. Holy shit, Carson.
Nobody's playing. I mean,
Yeah, but Carson Wentz did not look good.
No.
And then the Packers at the Eagles is Sunday at 4:30. So Sunday at 4:30, everybody lock in. And then Commanders, Bucks Sunday night. And then the Monday night game will be Vikings at Rams. And, you talked about the Vikings. Them being a one and done, John, would be the best case scenario for the Eagles, because that could open up an easier road to the NFC title game. Now, the Bucks are really the catalyst, though, for the Birds in this, because if the Bucks win, you're going to see the Bucks in the divisional, no matter what.
Well, that's going to scare some people.
Yeah. So if the Bucks win, if the Bucks win and the Eagles win, the Bucks are going to be who we play, no matter what. It doesn't matter what happens in the other 2 games. The Bucks will be our opponent. If the Bucks lose to the Commanders, Then you could face the Commanders, you could face the Rams, you could face the Vikings, depending on who wins what. So the Bucs are the catalyst for us. But those are your 6 games, and Packers coming to Philly, Johnny Mac. I'm excited for it. It should be a good one, man.
Yeah, that's the marquee matchup of the weekend. And a lot of people say, well, why isn't it the night game? Actually, that 4:25 window has become more important for the NFL. So that's the game they see as the marquee matchup. And I agree with them. Although I will tell you, Saturday doesn't look great on paper, but Steelers are playing terribly. But those games are never bad. They're never bad.
So right. It's such a good division, the rivalries in that division.
That rivalry is tremendous. So I think that'll be better than people expect. And then, I'm not thrilled with the rest of the matchups. I think the most compelling by far is Eagles-Packers. I really do. And that's not because I cover the Eagles. I think it's the most compelling matchup by far. By far.
What do you like in that? What do you like about that game? Early look. I know we're going to have all week to dive into it, but what is your general feeling a week out, Johnny Mac, for Eagles Packers? Jordan Love got a little banged up yesterday. Christian Watson went out. They're a little bit banged up, and I put out a tweet yesterday. I think the Eagles got a good hand here. I mean, I earlier in the year I said I would have liked to seen the Commanders over the Packers, but the playoffs sometimes are about what team is playing the best at the right time. And I think the Packers have fallen off a little bit in the last couple of weeks. Yeah, they're not humming like they were a couple of weeks ago. They got the injuries. I don't think they're in a great spot. Now, they could bounce back, obviously. They could have a good game, but I like the spot for the Eagles. What say you, John?
Well, I mean, they're a 2 seed facing a 7 seed. So, I do think there's a reputation aspect with Green Bay. Go back to last year. Not only the history of the team, but go back to last year. Dallas was 8-0 at home, scoring 40 points a game at home.
Right.
And they went in there and just destroyed them. So they have talent. That's the concern. Significant talent. Like they're more talented than their seeding position, but hasn't come together this season. So from that standpoint, you like it. Does it, is Matt LaFleur able to wake people up in 1 week? Probably not, but you always have to put that in the back of your head because they do have a bunch of players that can make plays, and Love's going to play from all indications. I don't know what they were doing yesterday. Evidently could have came back in the game. I don't know if they're trying to manipulate. I can't imagine they wanted to play the Eagles.
No way. Yeah.
I don't.
Now both games came down to the wire. So if they won the Commanders, so either way, though, we would have had the Packers, even if the Packers won because the Commanders won. But
I don't know what they were trying to do, to be honest, other than maybe they didn't care and they said, well, we're going on the road anyway. But losing to Chicago, which hasn't exactly been good, but obviously, the backup quarterback is in there for the most part, and they're very limited throwing the football with Malik Willis. But Jordan Love, and Christian Watson's a very good, but he's always hurt. It's like they're used to playing without him.
And that injury didn't look good. I don't know if we have any.
No, I don't think he's going to be back.
That to me looked like an ACL or something. I mean, that was a non-contact. He went down and got carted off. It didn't look good. I don't know if any news came out on that, by the way. I don't know if anybody has an update on that in the chat or if you have one, but that didn't look good to me.
No, it didn't. It didn't look good. Yeah. But they still have Jaden Reed. They still have Romeo Dobbs. They still have Dontavian Wicks. They got a bunch of receivers. Even Bo Melton, who's a Rutgers kid. They can all make plays. They have 2 good tight ends. They're used to playing without Christian Watson. So I don't think that will affect them much. It's interesting. They've sort of, not to the degree the Eagles have, but I think they've they've emphasized the running game to the detriment of the passing game, and I think that's hurt them in an unintended way. Josh Jacobs, very good back. He's in the conversation for being the third or fourth best back in the league. Very good player, but I think it's taken away from their explosiveness in a weird way. And I know, sometimes people can't wrap their head around that, but I don't think it's good for them. And I think that's borne out over the entire season. And I don't think they're going to fix it in 1 week. So I like the spot for the Eagles.
Yeah, I like it too. No doubt about it. And last year, a lot of people point to what the Packers were able to do last year. I will say that is maybe the one thing that is an advantage for the Packers in terms of versus if we played the Commanders. The Packers did get that playoff experience last year. They obviously beat the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas in the wild card 48-32. They put up in that game. Jordan Love was pretty damn good in that game, 272 and 3 touchdowns he threw. So they have a little bit of playoff experience, but I said it last night on a video I put out. Philadelphia is not Dallas. Lincoln Financial Field is not AT&T Stadium. They're going to have to come ready to go in this game. And I like the Eagles in this game in a big way. I just don't think they're playing good enough right now. And I don't think Jordan Love is in rhythm enough.
I agree with that. That's been one of my criticisms of Green Bay. And again, comparatively Philadelphia as well. The inability to get the quarterback in a rhythm early in games. I think it's been a problem for both teams. And they, it's funny because the Eagles were able to do it with Tanner McKee, and they haven't been able to do it with their starting quarterback. So same thing with Jordan Love. They don't seem to get him into a groove until they need to get him into a groove. They've come back, after big deficits a bunch of times when they're forced to do it. And then, so my thought process there is, all right, you're capable of doing that. Why aren't you doing that earlier in the game when it's more meaningful? Sometimes you shake your head with these guys, and I often shake my head with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, no doubt. Good stuff. I want to thank everybody for being here, by the way, this morning. It's playoffs, everybody. Get ready. John, Stewart, die, man. I can't believe we've made it this far already. The regular season is officially in the rearview mirror. Great stuff. Appreciate everybody watching this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button for us. We're going to need your guys' support all week long. I'll be doing a bunch of extra content. We'll be covering it wall to wall, the Eagles playoff run. So stay locked in here with JAKIB Sports. We appreciate all you guys. Hit that like button. What's up, Keith? I'm awake. Ian East. What's up, brother? M. Halpin, Alexander Harris, Flexing and Stepping, SMD, Abe. What's up, everybody? We appreciate all of you guys for being here. I'll get to a couple super chats in just a second, but I did want to thank all of you guys for being here this morning. John, the main thing you talk about the first thing you look at when you analyze any football game, at least in my opinion, is the quarterbacks. And you're looking at Jalen Hurts versus Jordan Love in this matchup. Neither have had their best season. Jordan Love has been streaky. At times, he looks like a superstar. At times, he looks like bum juice, as our man Akbar would say in the chat. Jalen Hurts, not his best year either. Definitely not his best year. How do you view this quarterback matchup coming in to this wild card weekend?
Well, I never like to talk about quarterback matchups because they don't play each other.
Right, but I just mean, each team is led by their
yeah, I think they're very similar in the fact that, again, they've had some of the same struggles. They're obviously both very gifted. Love's more of he's got some movement skills, but he's more of a high volume thrower. Jalen's more of the RPO plus one, type of quarterback. So they both have their strengths. They're both rhythm quarterbacks. All quarterbacks are rhythm quarterbacks, but it seems to be a bigger deal with certain quarterbacks. And I think these are two of the quarterbacks it's a bigger deal with because when they get in a rhythm, it can be really special. And when they don't, it looks clunky. And then people start saying, why is Jordan Love making all that money? Why is Jalen Hurts making all that money? And then they go out and make some plays. Oh, that's why. And, I think Matt LaFleur and I think Kellen Moore could have done better jobs this year of helping their quarterbacks. And, the Eagles have persevered better because they have a better running game and better offensive line. But the Packers have a very good running game as well. So they were able to persevere to get to 11 wins in the playoffs. So very similar teams, to be honest, offensively. Defensively, I think the Eagles have the big advantage. Well, I think they always have the advantage with Vic. I'll tell you the one guy to be concerned about, though, is Xavier McKinney. There's a guy who tends to make plays. He makes plays against everybody, but he seems to always make plays against the Eagles.
Yeah, he does. And he's made a lot of plays this year. Obviously, he was one of the big free agency.
Eagles wanted him too badly.
Yeah, so we'll see. That should be a good matchup. John, you bring up one other thing. Will we have Jeff? By the way, I did send him the link. I know that we didn't.
Yeah, Jeff's going to be here at about 8:30ish.
All right, cool. So we'll hit a break in just a couple of minutes here. I'll get to a commercial break. Just saw your text. One other thing. So you said getting the quarterbacks in rhythm. Well, to me, John, then it becomes coaching. Which coach will get their quarterback in rhythm? Which coaching staff will have the right game plan coming in to get their quarterback in rhythm early in the football game? Who do you like as an advantage there? I mean, I like Sirianni and what he's done. Obviously, 48 wins in 4 years, but he's not manning the offense anymore. That's Kellen Moore. And I think if you analyze it objectively, Kellen Moore didn't have his greatest year. Now, probably not all on him, probably a little bit because of the style of the Eagles offense, but LaFleur is a pretty good offensive mind. Who do you give the edge to in that matchup to get their quarterbacks going early?
Can I pick neither?
You can pick neither.
I don't think they've shown the ability to do it this season, early in the game, at least consistently. I think where the Eagles have the advantage is on the defensive side, where Vic Fangio's generally going to have a great game plan. Jeff Hafley, I think, has done a good job, certainly much better defense than they were the year prior, but, very young defensive coordinator from an experience standpoint, former head coach in college. First year as the defensive coordinator, though. So that's a far cry from the experience of Vic Fangio. And so I think they have the advantage. I think the Eagles have the advantage there. Offensively, I think it's stunningly similar. I think they're both going to come out and try to assert the run game. And I think it'll probably be a detriment to the passing game. But from that standpoint, the Eagles are a little bit better in the running game. So that's probably advantage Eagles from that point.
John, is it fair to say this, and you can say hell no? Whatever team gets the passing game going or has a more efficient passing game in the game will win the football game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. And, the Eagles are capable. Certainly Green Bay is capable. But, if you don't do something, you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
You have to have a goal in mind.
Yep.
And who knows? I haven't checked the weather, and we're probably too far out to where it's relevant anyway. But let's see real quick. Sunday, going to be 38 degrees. Not terrible.
Not terrible at all. 38 and sunny, it says on my
38. So if that should be, a chance to. There's going to be some plays made in the passing game on both sides.
Yeah, we'll see.
And sometimes they don't even try until the second quarter, until the guts of the game. Both teams. It's weird.
Yep. It
weird.
is. It is. A couple of super chats real quick, John, and then we'll get to our commercial break here. Diesel checks in. He says, random question, John. How hard is it to write about the Eagles when the head coach doesn't say anything, or when he does, and when he does, it sounds the same every time? Good question, Diesel.
He actually, again, you have to ask questions the right way. And sometimes he'll give you really good stuff, really deep, football centric stuff. Now, if you're talking about injuries and is Jalen Hurts in the concussion, no, he's not going to give you any information whatsoever, period. But if you're asking him football concepts and things like that, he can be very insightful. Talked about Connor Barwin, asked him a question about Connor Barwin. Because Connor is the head of the developmental program on the team, and so it was a big week for those guys. So I asked him about Connor's role, and that he gave a good answer, and that sort of morphed into some of the things they do in specific Saturday meetings with scout team players to go over reps to try to get younger players better. So that kind of stuff he's good with. If you're going to ask him, hey, is Jalen Hurts through the concussion protocol? He's not going to answer. He's not. You're muted, Zander.
Yep, got it. A little Doug Peterson news, John. He just got fired. So a little breaking news here. We're gonna have plenty of that on Black Monday.
And Trent Baalke somehow sticks. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I don't
Tony Khan, if you're listening, come on, get Shad. This is ridiculous. Now I like Doug, but Trent Baalke is an abomination. Come on.
He is. And Doug had too much. Doug had enough time there to turn it around. That's a bad organization. Some people are like Ben Johnson to the Jags. I'm like, why the fuck would he go there? Are you kidding me?
He might because of Trevor.
I would not go there. I'm sorry.
Well,
I would not.
If you're thinking with Ben Johnson, it's Jacksonville or Chicago.
I might stick in. I'm not even kidding you. I might stick as a coordinator again, and ask to be the highest paid coordinator in the league, and wait until the right opportunity.
I guess that's a possibility.
I mean, you're humming right now in Detroit. Why go to a shitty organization when we've seen time and time again that shitty organizations ruin coaches and ruin quarterbacks over and over and over and over again? Chip Tooth checks in. He says Johnny Mack beats Stephen Jones 11 out of 10 times in a fight. J-Mac, how different is this matchup against Green Bay than week one? Who do you think wins, has the upper hand? Thanks. Playoff time. Woo! Ric Flair voice. I like it, Chip Tooth. Thank you, brother.
I don't get the Stephen Jones thing. But,
I don't either. I'm not sure what he's saying there.
How different is this matchup against Green Bay? Oh, very different. I mean, week one was Brazil and the field, and that the most you can say from week one, and you'll take it's some of the same players, but so you can get a little bit out of it, but that's so long ago. I don't think it's going to have much relevance on this game. And it affected both teams, and the Eagles were able to persevere better and win the football game. And that, by the way, we had talked about all the way. That was a big game from the perspective of where we are now and where you're going to be in the playoff hunt.
Right.
And that was a big step up for the Eagles. So, that helped them get this home field advantage. So that is a big part of it. But as far as taking a lot from the actual game, the field didn't really allow you to do it. We said it at the time, and I'll say it again today. It was just a disaster of a field.
Yeah, and we did talk about the potential of a playoff rematch. So here it is. It's coming, everybody. Alexander Harris says, this Eagles team is way better than they were in week one. I think this will be an easy game. It's never easy in the playoffs, Harris, but I think it could be. I think it's in the Eagles' favor for sure. Josh Herman says, John, you and I both know old Tony Khan is too scared to fire anyone. Wink, wink. I don't know what he means.
Well, Shad's in charge of the Jags. He's talking wrestling. But Tony's a big part of the front office. Got to get away from Trent Baalke. Similar to Orange Cassidy in wrestling. Got to get away from him, Tony. Man, I love you. Got to get away from him.
Yeah. Last one here. Josh B says, which franchise needs a new owner the most now that Washington has switched hands?
Oh boy, that's a good one.
Eagles fans don't want to hear this, but it might be the Cowboys if they want to compete in the football realm anytime soon. But
yeah, I mean, there's so many from a football standpoint. But like, see, I don't even put the Cowboys in the equation because of the business. There's two parts of it.
right.
And the Cowboys are by no means a disaster of an organization. They had a very bad year. The owner meddles too much. Obviously, should get the hell out of the football aspect. But he's not a terrible owner.
Yeah, no,
Daniel
he's
Snyder.
Also a great business owner.
Yeah.
How about the
phenomenal.
Panthers? That would be one that comes to mind.
Yeah, David Tepper not doing a great job. There's so many. Chicago, Tennessee, long-term owners. New Orleans is having problems with the Benson family. There's so many. And that's where Eagles fans, again, should thank their lucky stars for – I don't like giving flowers to billionaires, but, I mean, Jeffrey Lurie is a great owner.
Yeah, he does. He's got a good organization, no doubt about it. All right, John Mack, we'll get to our first commercial break. I know you got some business to handle real quick, so I'll let you drop off, and then in 3 minutes, we'll get to the great Jeff Kerr coming up here on Birds 365. Before I get to the break, let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Go check out BetUS today and use that promo code YouTube150. It gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit more and bet with or deposit less and bet with more, at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And we'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365. It's playoff week, everybody. Stay locked in. We'll be back in 3.
Ignite your nights with